Admittedly, this scene was completed. I got it done in between videos. I made some pretty crazy tweaks to just fix and adjust things that I needed fixed. At first, I wanted the wind to blow away from the viewer. So Guts's hair, or rather Guts's cape and Griffith's hair were able to flow inwards towards the center of the screen. I changed my mind and I decided to blow the wind to the right. So, excuse me. So as you can see with Griffith's hair there, his hair is now blowing backwards. That's probably the most outstanding change that I've made. I tweaked the Dragon Slayer slightly to be more accurate and more in line with the shape of the Dragon Slayer. And I also created a transition from it's just a quick zoom out or screen transition into the actual this scene that I've been working on in the previous video. And it's just like simply jumping from the weapon draw scene into this scene specifically. And well, screw it, I'll show an example. So here's the weapon draw scene I made in the previous set of videos, and I'm just going to show the transition into the scene that I just created, and then I'm going to show, of course, the transition into the scene that follows it. So I'll just press play here and show this little snippet of a few layers. The weapon draw, there's a transition, and then it immediately breaks over into this, which in this scene specifically, there's actually the layers turned off, but it transitions pretty smoothly. It's that same, let's back up here, that same leaf there, that leaf that floats towards Guts here, it actually shows up via another layer in the following scene. Speaking of the following scene, another tweak that I made in between videos was just slight modification to the Dragon Slayer shape-wise to make it look better, including but not limited to more of a thicker black outline on the outside of the Dragon Slayer, and also the end of the handle, or the bottom of the handle for the Dragon Slayer. I redrew it so that the flat portion is actually flush or aligned with the flat side of the Dragon Slayer itself. And that's the end result. It looks much better. But that's just some in between work. I got to transition over. I'm gonna start. I got to keep moving. So I'm gonna go over into a new scene. Um, for the thumbnail, I think the thumbnail could be this. So I'll be sure to use this. If I don't use this for the thumbnail, I'll likely use the scene I'm about to work on right now. So I'm gonna transition over. It requires me to work off of a completely new a new set. There's a lot of work in here already. I don't want to over encumber myself. So yeah, I'm gonna transition now. Okay, I've transitioned over. I'm gonna add this cut. I'm gonna cut and add the videos together so that you can get both videos in one. And for this transition, as you can see, I pretty much just depleted everything. It's pretty much cleaned out. Everything sits on just one keyframe now. And I'll just start from scratch. The reason I did it in this manner is because I need certain things, like my you can see it here, my color picker. Need my color picker just to help me to be consistent with all of the colors that I've made previously. So for this scene specifically, I want to do, I actually don't know yet. So here's my main layer. I'm gonna make another layer, new bitmap map layer. I'm gonna call it main ink. I need an ink layer for my ink work. Now put this above the main layer, and then for the main layer, I'll just rename it to main color. So this will be just the coloring underneath. So I know to ignore that pretty much. So for my main ink layer, I'm going to, why is the background on? There's no point in that. So for my main ink layer, I'm going to draw a scene of, I want the brand to bleed. Whenever Guts sees Griffith, specifically his brand usually starts bleeding. And I noticed in the manga, Dr. Kentaro, he didn't really cover that because because it was focused on watching Griffith talk about tears and morning dew. He was having like a spiel, so it was that scene was specifically about Griffith. But there's no doubt to nobody can question this. But Guts's brand definitely started bleeding and hurting him when he noticed Griffith. So I'm going to not attempt. I am going to draw a scene pretty much of the brand bleeding. So what I need to do, because the brand is on Guts's right, it's on the back of his neck, but it's on his right. So on the right back of his neck, he has the brand. So I'm gonna have to finagle this somehow and just draw it in appropriately. So we're on the ink layer. Color is gonna be black, of course. But just go for it. Okay. Don't worry, I shouldn't have to explain what you're looking at here. Actually, no, because I can zoom in and out on it. So I'll do it this way. It should be fine. Okay. I made a mistake and right click there for some weird reason. That was stupid. Right clicking, if you don't know, it turns off the brush for you. I'm not gonna say by mistake. I'm sure people use it. Okay, so that's just the outlining. Actually, I don't like that. Let's undo. I don't like that at all. He should, because it's the back of his neck, it should be shaped more like this. Yeah, it should be shaped more like this. Yeah, it's way better. It should mimic the shape of of a human being's head at least. Okay, let's break it off here. Just do a line going all the way over. In case I decide to fill. Okay, because I know I'm gonna have to eventually highlight too. I'm gonna make another layer, new layer. I'm gonna call this layer main um, highlight. Highlight. That works. Put that above the main itself. That's gonna be for the hair tweaks that I make later here. So the ink, let's get back. Let me focus here. Okay, so I'm gonna slide this up because remember the focus is in his head. The focus is actually the brand on his neck. Actually, let's do it in this way so I can tell what I'm doing here. Slide it up slightly here, about right here, just enough to see his his hair or whatever. Okay, slightly centered. Alright, let's get back to the line work. So traditionally it'll be his neck. You of course be able to see his neck. And then the back of his ear will be here too. That one's weird. More like this. Okay. And then because it's the back of the ear, it will be like this too. Just separating the cartilage from the soft part of his ear. For his neck, it'll be something in this sense, but I have to keep in mind um, he has very distinct looking armor, so his armor will likely overlap like this. It looked like that to an extent. He has teeth or armor with teeth on it, so I have to be aware of that thing. Okay, and it'd be something like this. Then there's other factors too that I have to take into consideration. That being he's like well, he's wearing a dragon slayer too. So for his dragon slayer, because his dragon slayer is covered also, so it'd be more like his cloak. He's got his cloak right here, and then he'd have, I guess, the rest of his cloak also wrapping around. And then I gotta sneeze. And then he'd have the actual handle for the Dragon Slayer here. Something like this. Even though that was kind of awful. That again. Okay. So it'd be something like this. Now let's finish off the bar or the handle. Maybe like that. And no, it would not. The dragon. This is technically the angle is moving at, so it'd be like this and like this. And this I'll just cut off in case I need to fill later. I use the fill tool often. I try to cut this off too, and I could just make it all one. Trust me, it'll make sense. You'll get the method to my madness pretty soon. Okay, so this is, I don't think the Dragon Slayer is at any particular angle, even though if I choose to, I could angle it towards the screen. So let's do this. Clear it out a little bit just for clarity's sake. Then I'll go slightly in like this, give it a bit of an arc, and then go back up, and that should be fine. And then I could do something like, kind of like indicating that the Dragon Slayer is like rectangular on the top of it, and do a simple separation there, like so, and then like so. Be more like that actually, but whatever. And then do the bolt or whatever it's called, and you wouldn't be able to see that one over there. Okay, so now hopefully you get the gist of it. So he's got the Dragon Slayer, he's got his cloak being well, pushed up here, something like this. Okay, let's do some cleaning there so it's not so obvious. Alright, maybe something like that. That makes, to me, that makes sense. Alright, not too worried about being super neat, because I'm gonna, excuse me, I hit the mic. I'm gonna have to do some line work here pretty soon anyway. Alright, this actually stops. Okay, what can I do? Thinking of something I could do to accentuate the collar here. Okay, that will go into like that. You won't be able to see it over here though. So the Dragon Slayer itself, it'd be bandaged on the bar here. So you have a little bit of detail going on there. That's fine. Oh, that's fine. This will mostly, not mostly, this will be a lot of shade work that I'll have to throw in here. So not a biggie. Okay, that's the method, pretty much the method to my madness. Whenever I whenever I start a scene, this is how I do it. Just come up with it fairly simply. Okay, now I'm gonna zoom in. It's gonna start zoomed in on the brand itself, but this is what ultimately is gonna transition into. For the hair, I might, there's no might, I will add some detail here for the hair, just to have something going on, so it's not too boring. Excuse me. So that it's not too boring. So that's it's pretty important to have a lot going on. It's keep in mind this is based on art by the Dr. Kentaro Miura. The guy's like, he's an art god. Like when it comes to detail, there's no questioning, his ability. He's definitely like he's top tier skill wise when it comes to doing comic art. Guy's a genius. Alright, yeah, that works. This is bothering me a little bit. Let's do something like that. So okay, so it's not freaking me out. Alright, that's good enough. That's good enough. Let's carry on here. Alright, focus on the hair. No shortcuts. You gotta go all the way through. And you gotta, make sure you do it right. Okay. Alright. Every hair. Or every tuft of hair. Okay. That works for me. Okay, looks pretty good. That's about what Guts' hair looks like. Don't worry, in the coloring process or the coloring phase, I'll really focus on getting the detail for the hair in or whatever. If you're not familiar with Miura's his art style, whenever he does hair, it's very very stringy. He's got a stringy style to an extent to the way he does hair. You can definitely see the strands in the hairs themselves. So I'll do something like this just to aid me in the future when I get to the coloring phase of doing this. This will actually help me out somewhat, even though it just looks like nonsense to you, probably, most likely. Okay. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright. And that looks good for the most part. Yeah, it looks good to me. Okay, so there's Guts' hair. Here's the back of his neck. Which, by the way, this looks kind of iffy here. Just this part right here. Let's do more. Let's do more straight. Let's try this out. Go straight and then go downward like this. And then we can kind of make the shoulder blades come into the neck like that. I think that looks better. My opinion, this looks better. Makes more sense to me. Since we're getting all up in his neck or whatever. Sorry, I hit the mic. Alright, you got the spinal cord, which is coming from the back of his head or his upper neck. We've got the normal musculature that the neck will have, of course. Okay. Which, by the way, this isn't necessary, but I'm just gonna throw it in here. Okay, so got all the basic stuff out of the way. You have the back of Guts' hair up top. You have both ears. You have the inking for his outer neck. And strangely enough, or oddly enough, I actually prefer to do this. And this is for his collar. Brings more focus on the fact that the collar's there. This actually helped me later when I get into doing the coloring or whatever. So actually this is doing myself a favor, to be honest. Okay, bring it up and then like that, just to show that the collar's wrapping around and going to the front of his neck. It's pretty important. And in fairness, there should be a break. You should have a break there, because that's just the shape. That's how his collar's actually shaped. There's actually there's a straight part, and then there's the teeth coming out. Because originally this was Skull Knight's armor, and when it was Skull Knight's armor, it actually didn't have the teeth. It didn't have the fangs on the top of the collar portion, because his mask, in combination with the fangs on the bottom of the torso piece of the armor, they all form the head. Just a fun fact: Skull Knight does not have these teeth on his neck when he wears the armor. That's why the original or the default armor looks like a skull. So this, for the most part, is what I wanted. He's gonna of course have his brand. If you're not familiar with Guts, his brand is right here on his neck. I haven't drawn the brand in a while, but it shouldn't be difficult. Not for me, if I call myself a fan. Shouldn't be difficult for me to remember what it looks like. Pretty sure it's like this. It looks like like intertwining snakes. Let's extend that a little bit. Yeah, I didn't like that. Bothered me. That's kind of weird too. Let's flush it. Alright, that's better. And I think, no, I don't think. Pretty sure it's like this. It goes straight down the middle. And then, pretty sure there's one in the center. So something like that. Not even something like that. This is what it looks like. Okay. This is what I'm gonna do for this brand. And I'm gonna this looks like a good thumb itself. I'm gonna make the brand, it's gonna bleed. 1 second here. I'm pretty sure it's even though it's a burn scar in his neck, it shouldn't be so prominent, but I'm sure it's sharp. It goes like flat on the inside there. Yeah, so this is the next scene I'm gonna work on here. It's just basically showing the brand on Guts' neck bleeding. It's gonna transition. It's gonna do a zoom out from a close up of the brand. But this is basically what what I'm gonna end with here. I'm gonna use this as the thumbnail, and that's pretty much it. So this is my next scene, guys. I hope you understand what you're looking at here. Should be the Dragon Slayer here, that's slightly covered by his cape, towards the bottom center, and then towards the actual center of the screen is the brand on the back of his neck, and then up top is his hair, and you can see his ears respectively on both sides. But yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and make this a thumbnail for when I close out. Sorry, I gotta close this off. I might decide to use the fill tool. So I'm gonna, cut off the bottom here. Alright, I think the top is good, but just to be safe here, let's make another line so I don't have any future issue. And then later I'll just delete whatever excess that I might have. Make this a little cleaner too. I'll use the selection tool, the rectangular selection tool, and then later I'll just delete whatever's outside of the actual layer or image itself. Okay. This I seriously think this right here should be cape. So I'm gonna put that there. Okay. Yeah. Just make sure I cover my bases here. I'm gonna go back in between videos, of course, between this video and the next one. And I'm gonna do some cleaning, and I'm gonna make sure this brand is at first the proper angle, and I'm gonna also make sure it's at the exact right spot. And if it's not at the exact appropriate spot that it's supposed to be at, I'll tweak it and I'll move it wherever it's supposed to be exactly. But for the most part, this is what I wanted. This is gonna be my next scene that I work on. Keep in mind, my scenes are fairly out of order, so you guys have no clue. I know you guys have no clue what's going on here scene wise in regards to the order. You won't know until until I make it clear to you what's the what order I'm choosing to go with here, which is the way I like it, because it's kind of hard to get spoiled. And also there's a plethora of layers that I chose to not spoil too. So there's just blatantly a lot of stuff that you just don't know. That's gonna be. How about this? This bothers me a little bit. Let's. I'm just delete everything. I'm trying to straighten out. If you're not sure what I'm doing here, I'm trying to straighten out the Dragon Slayer handle. It was kind of concave. It was irking me a little bit. Let's do this. Cause eventually I'm gonna thicken the lineup itself, but I'm also gonna make it jagged too, cause it's there's cloth on the Dragon Slayer, so it's not really a big deal to have it like it's got to be super straight. It doesn't have to be super straight. So it'd be something like this. Because I intended to thicken the line anyway later. This will save me some trouble here. If having to do it later. I keep forgetting that's under the cloak. So technically, I'll be highlighting this. Yeah, it'd be like that. This would have a trim too on the far right, specifically the collar portion. It'd have a little bit of thickness there. Of course, the top of his cloak, just slightly thicker line, and that just it gives more pop, or it accentuates what's closer, or what's actually, it gives the illusion of it helps your brain process what's close to the screen and what's not close, which is pretty important. Again, I'm likely to move that the brand that I drew on here later. I'm likely to move it in between videos just to make sure it's exactly where Gus's brand is supposed to be. So yeah, it'd be something like this. So yeah, this is gonna be the next scene, and this is the very first video. You just watch me sketch out what it looks like for the most part. In between videos, again, I'll likely move that brand to somewhere more accurate. I'm sure that's where the brand is, but it could be moved to the right slightly. But yeah, that's the next scene. God bless.